morning and welcome to Aspheric News Update this morning. Thank you. My name remains Israel Beleme. In the studio with me again is our regular analytics, and his name remains Alhaji Mustafa Abdul Malak. Alhaji, how are you?
I'm good, are you?
Okay, so this morning, in case you are joining for the first time, do not forget to follow us on our social media handles, and our social handles are there displayed on the screen. Follow us on Facebook, official Aspheric News, on Instagram Aspheric News, on Twitter and Aspheric News. And don't forget to read more our content or breaking news on www.asphericnews.com. To call on us to get us information about what's happening in your area or the breaking news, do not forget to call on us +234 809999 8117. No, I repeat, +234 809999 8117. This morning we'll be bringing you some newspaper headlines and we'll be analyzing that bit by bit. But more importantly, first, we are going to discuss more on insecurity in Nigeria and also upcoming elections, and maybe immediately after the newspaper review today. That will be a different statement. Do not forget, my name remains Israel. Thank you. In the Punch newspaper today, we have on the Punch newspaper headlines: DSS arrests terror suspects. U.S. evacuate non-emergency staff. U.S. evacuate non-emergency staff. CBN plan Naira redesign to counterfeiting. And we also have 2023 elections from this is coming from the INEC. Lagos, Kaduna, Rivers, Kano voters top INEC register. We also have on the same Punch newspaper, Buhari eye over 1.3 billion trade with South Korea. That's huge. That's interesting. That's interesting. 1.3 billion. That's interesting. If Nigeria can be able to lay hand on that. So, Alhaji, let me start from the recent arrest. The arrest was done day before yesterday.
Yes.
That's the day before yesterday on the news. Yeah. Let me start from the yesterday or day before yesterday. Let me start from the arrest. So, earlier on, the UK have also announced before the US announced and started evacuation of their non-staff.
Even Australia too.
Australia also announced a lot on the insecurity, especially in Abuja. There will be bomb explosion. That's a dictator. So these are real information. Yeah. I mean, for them to have come up with the announcement, that means the government must have done the security operation must have done their due diligence to do a proper investigation of who these persons are. But most times, to clamp down these crimes, they like some itches. So to track to bring.
I believe to me, if you ask me, I would say it's more or less like an embarrassment to say, okay, we have our security architecture here, and Abuja is the federal capital of Nigeria. If Abuja is not secured and Abuja is not seen as being secured enough, it means it's a slap on our security architecture here. But before the US raised an alarm to say, okay, look, gentlemen, so will happen, but they don't know where it's coming from, or they know where it's coming from. One would expect to say, okay, US embassy here will intimate or alert the security agencies, but nobody know how it goes to the public domain, and it becomes a public issue. And to this very moment, one would expect to say, look, Nigerian security agencies will now collaborate with the US intelligence agency right here in Nigeria and go about and preempt the threat. But in a situation whereby it made it to the public domain, at times it will create that panic situation. Well, we should wait and see how it goes. We should commend the DSS. At least they have been able to make some arrests. Even police too, they said they made some arrests too. But this particular arrest, they said they made from an estate in Abuja here, of which the two suspects are brothers. They were living in an estate. The DSS went there, raided the estate, and they were arrested. Even days ago again, I think on Monday or so, the police, they said they made arrests, one from Tipa Garage along Katagbe here, and the other one from Maraba too. It shows that our security agencies are working. I believe that a lot of mop-up is being done. Although, recall that days ago, they now say that some of the terrorists that escaped from Borno, that a lot of them are in Abuja, and some of them are here as tailors, carpenters, and bricklayers, layers, and mechanics. Security agencies alone cannot do it. Doctor, we must tell ourselves the truth. Everybody should be vigilant. Everybody should be watchful. Why the security agencies are doing their own, we too must do our own too. Because these guys are not aliens. They are not invisible. They are visible. So we shouldn't allow them to cause that havoc whereby it will affect everyone.
But don't you think that now they've been arrested and don't you think that more to be done to not just to arrest them, to try, because Nigeria are complaining. If you go to Twitter on social media, they say they're complaining that most of these guys were the people who were released from Kuje prison, different prison, were breakdown and all of that. So,
well,
who's to be blamed?
Well, over some time, when the security problem doesn't arise just within a day, we shouldn't forget that we have a terrorism issue on our hand here. We equally have an insecurity problem of banditry on our hand here. So what we don't know is the level of information that the U.S. Embassy has, that some of us within the public domain here at the civil society, we don't know about it. So we don't know if it is a regular threat or a kind of internationally linked terrorists that are planning an attack here. That is what we don't know. But however, whether we like it or not, security agencies, they must do their work and go all out. Be it an internationally linked terrorist planning an attack here or our own local terrorists. Of course, we shouldn't forget that, look, if there's anything like any security threat coming from Nigerians here, there must be some international dimension to it too, because we don't produce explosive here. These guys, they only assemble this explosive using their own, probably their local method to assemble them and detonate it here. Whatever it is, we have security issues here. And again, why waiting till it degenerates to this level of, to the extent that the embassies, the international embassies here will start issuing alerts? It means our
but for them to start issuing alerts, that means Nigerian security operators must have done their due diligence. Well, so most times, somebody was complaining yesterday on one of the I watched one of the national televisions, and he said he said that most times when these issues are being confirmed, there's no instruction to carry out the assignment, the deed of assignment. Because when there's investigation is being done, you need to carry out the assignment. And there's some issues that you need a clearance.
Well, yeah, it's
you understand?
It's true.
You need a clearance, yes, to operate.
To operate.
You understand?
It's right.
Example, for you to invade an estate, there must be
at least
a clear. So now, having heard what is happening in Abuja on news and see some security operative in your estate, you won't even complain. Naturally, you will not complain, because why? You feel that they are here to check. Yeah. Because I want to be safe. Everyone want to be safe. But if there is such information, why are they here? It's happening from social media. They are here to harass us and all of that. But somebody was saying that yesterday. I think that most times our dailies proper approval. If you recall what happened at Kuje prison, they come up and say, look, we've informed you guys about this long time ago. Of which they're supposed to do their own. Exactly. We informed you about this long time ago. So I think
the fact is that whether DSS like it or not, anybody like it or not, once there is a security breach, once there is security failure, it affects almost all the security agencies. Well, that like the aspect of say that whether they have the right to go invade and like that, it's more or less like a law. I don't think that a situation whereby DSS will now just come across someone on the road and say, okay, stop there. What do you carry and like that? I believe that this is democracy. Somebody will say that you are infringing on my right of movement. So before DSS will now move into an estate to say, okay, they will carry out this, it's a lot of inconveniences on the resident. But at the end of the day, we must make that plea to everybody to say, look, security is everybody's business. We must assist them to succeed. We must be vigilant and watchful over our environment to make sure that these guys did not get away with their plot. You understand? Because it affects everybody. If it happens, it affects everybody. Nobody knows where it will happen.
Right. Let's also discuss about the INEC chairman made a comment. He made a statement yesterday, and he said Lagos, Kaduna, Rivers, and Kano they have the highest number of registered voters. He also said this about 40-something% of registered voters are students.
Yeah.
You know, so looking at it, don't you think there is a problem, because that means the major states that the politicians need to, or candidates need to focus more, presidential candidate in quotes, need to focus more is Lagos, Kano, Kaduna, Rivers. Yeah. So if we're able to capture this 4 states, you've had over 28 million votes.
Well, the fact is that in an election, you can't, even if it's 1 vote, you can't ignore it. Every vote counts. Understand? Let's not forget that between 2003 to 2011, President Muhammadu Buhari usually had upper hand in Kano and some other Kano, Kaduna, and that is mentioned as a key state. Right from that time, Kano, Kaduna has always been part of the key states. But you discover that President Muhammadu Buhari between 2003 to 2011 always sweep all these places, but somehow he did not become the winner at the national level. You understand? So what am I trying to say here? Once you are into the race, you cannot ignore any vote. But what INEC just did is just like to release the statistics out for the Nigerians and the electorate to know where heavy vote will come from. I believe that every politician that mean to win an election in 2023, they will just and slug it out with themselves in Lagos, Kano, Rivers, and Kaduna. Whoever emerge emerge winner from these states and try to salvage from some other state, eventually he will become a winner. But we should not forget the electoral act, the permutation of winning. You can't just win because you have won this state. You must win at least from other states to at least 25% vote from other states too, which I believe that is going to be very, very difficult task to achieve in 2023. Consider the pedigree of the candidates in the 2023 election. For instance, you have Labour Party, which is Peter Obi, is seriously very strong in some states and is still waxing stronger to some other states in the North Central. Likewise, you have Tinubu of APC in Lagos and is making inroad into Kano. You have Atiku too from the north too. It's making inroad into Kano and some other places too, apart from the Rivers, whereby the Governor Wike has told him wholeheartedly that, look, I'm not going to work for you in 2023. So time is still a bit far. So before then, we'll see some realignment here and there and renegotiation and dialoguing here and there to make sure that they will capture some of these states. But it's going to be an interesting 2023 election. Let's watch and see.
Now, don't you think that with the fact that the Wike have refused to support the PDP candidate, and up to now you have not made it open who he's going to support during the general election, or who he's supporting during the general election? Don't you know that PDP will have a big lose from the South?
Well, already the handwriting is on the wall, you understand? And that is why if you watch very well, the PDP presidential candidate, unlike some of his own allies, they are trying to say, okay, let's go ahead with our campaign without Governor Wike. But if you look at it very well, PDP presidential candidate Atiku himself, he has been trying to reach out to Wike several times. But you discover that Wike on his own, he has tried to reduce himself to say, look, I'll keep on talking, I'll keep on acting like an opposition within PDP, and that is exactly what he's doing. Whether Atiku like it or not, he has to approach Governor Wike, because that vote coming from the Rivers is significant. Let's not forget that in 2019, it's from Rivers that PDP has much more bulk vote from there that gave Atiku almost about 11 million votes. So I believe that certainly he must continue to reach out to Governor Wike. But Wike, on the other hand too, he can't totally become...
Because I'm not sure if PDP will still take Lagos. So at this point now, at this point now, you have to remove Lagos, Rivers. Then Kaduna is a big legacy. like because El-Rufai is fully in charge in
El-Rufai
Kaduna. So then Kanu might be 50-50. So if you look at the whole, if you look at this state, you know that I don't think PDP have a strong.
Well, it's too early to call it because I believe that at the end of the day, Kanu alone has almost about 60 million votes or thereabout that it's been said. But at the end of the day, you discover that no matter what they are trying to to get now is just that 25%. Even if I'm not going to win a particular state, I should be able to get that 25% vote from that state. Then they will not leverage on some other their stronghold. Let's not forget that. Look, every politician, every candidate has a stronghold. For instance, if you ask me, I would say Peter Obi now. The stronghold road is like a southeast and a south-south, of which other politicians are trying to make inroad into that. If you ask me, I would say, okay, APC presidential candidate, his stronghold is southwest, and you could see that Labour Party and the PDP, they are trying to make inroad into that too. Recently, we now see how the Labour Party, the PDP, they are trying to make inroad into Kano too and some other state too in the north too. So, but we have said, whether we like it or not, the fact is that in a democracy, once you are jostling to win an election, you can't ignore any vote. So that is the fact here. So we don't, in my own case, I've said it here on this platform that look, I see a possibility of rerun come 2023 presidential election.
Is it a prophecy?
It's from no, you could see it clearly now because almost all the three. Okay, another one again.
No,
is, we have.
If you pray for a run, there will be so much disagreement in the system.
Whether we like it or not,
and people will also fight that. We don't pray that.
There is no a clear-cut winner. Certainly, there must be.
I know that INEC will do everything possible to ensure that the electronic vote.
Let's not forget that there is BVAS. The BVAS, that is the electronic transmission of
result, exactly.
This is so at the end of the day, we are going to have a little bit fairly conducted election whereby we'll be devoid of manipulation here and there, like other presidential elections like 2019 or 2015. So this time around, I see a rerun. Let's watch and see.
Okay. Alhaji, you say you see a rerun. I'm not seeing that yet, but I see it.
No, we pray so that a winner will emerge. A situation whereby a winner emerged. And that
for me, I doubt it will be rerun because with the commitment of the INEC and the instruction of the president, if you watch what happened in Osho and Ekiti, it tells you clearly that election will, the result must count.
This is not just about INEC or what the president say. It's more of the electorate. You understand? You could see that, take for instance APC as the ruling party. You could see that APC as a ruling party, their campaign, they are not doing very well to say, okay, as a ruling party, we are trying to sell our achievement to Nigerians to say, okay, vote for us, and we could see how Nigerians are reacting based on what is happening.
No, Alhaji, APC achievement are out there for everybody to see.
Yeah,
because,
they're out. But,
yes,
let's not forget that the economy.
Niger Bridge. Niger Bridge. I don't know if I've seen that. It's completed.
It's completed.
Yes, and after how many years?
From that again,
the railway Lagos Ibadan is working.
The economy is biting. It's telling on everything.
The Jakarta railway line is also functioning.
But the economy is biting. Irrespective of all this achievement that we're talking about, Nigerians are crying out that they are hungry. Inflation is biting. It's telling on everybody.
Okay, the question I want to ask now: why are we hungry?
Well, a lot is at stake. I know a lot of people would like to say Nigerians are hungry because of the COVID restriction and now the Ukraine war. But before these factors, before these variables that just surfaces, Nigerian economy has not been doing too well. If you ask me, I would say, look, President Muhammadu Buhari has not been able to assemble a good economic team since inception of his administration. Let's not forget that he came. Barely a year after he came, Nigeria now slid into recession. And since that time, the economy has recovered.
Globally, UK was a recession. Globally.
Yes, some
globally, there was recession everywhere.
Yeah, but some countries.
So not just Nigeria.
Some countries bounced back and they recovered fully.
Nigeria recovered at a point. But
our recovery here is more or less like on paper. But if you could observe very well, you now see that the recovery Okay, let's take for instance now, since the hike of PMS fuel since in 2016 up to now, since that time, virtually transportation has gone up. And once you talk about transportation going up, you now talk about adjustment in the prices of goods and services. And since then, we have been having this inflation that has refused to slide down. Now we have double-digit inflation, and it's telling on everybody. So if you attend, that is the aspect of that. Then when you talk about the agricultural farming, you not talk about the insecurity. A lot of the farming zone, like Zamfara, Kebbi, Sokoto, this is a farming belt whereby the insecurity, the banditry has affected them. They have not been able to farm. And now again we have this issue of this flood.
Flood have so much.
All some of these are like emergency situation. So nobody see it coming, but it happened.
Because if you watch, if you looked at what is going on right now, you'll find out that next year there will be full scarcity.
Sure.
Because they're supposed harvest time is this period from now to December.
And
I think so.
Flood.
And January. Yeah. But now flood have so much everything, washed away all the farms.
So it's a calamity. To me, it's more or less like a calamity on the
would
farmers.
You put that blame? No, hold on now. Would you put that blame in the government or nature or climate change? No, let's understand this
it's
now.
It's more or less like climate change. Because
exactly, it's a climate change.
Apart from the issue of the explanation of the dam, even that aspect of the dam is as a result of climate change. Yes, it's as a result of climate change because we recorded amount of rainfall that surpassed the previous years.
Yes, this year.
So and now why some of us we are now trying to push the blame to the government, because this dam issue happened 10 years ago in 2012, and what have we done since that 2012 till now? We have not done anything.
APC was not in power in 2012.
Well, it's government is a continuum. It's not an issue of blaming this particular administration or the.
Was there a process going on when they were handing over?
Okay, take for instance now, President, after this particular incident of this flood, now Buhari gave order to the Minister of Water Resources to say, look, come up within the next 90 days, come up with a plan on how to solve this flooding issue. If the previous administration has instituted that kind of that, I believe that, for instance, if President Muhammadu Buhari should meet a template on the ground to say, okay, this is the template, I believe that he must work on it. If he doesn't work on it, then we'll now push the blame entirely on him. But in this case now, he made something, and it's only now that he's instituted that committee to say, okay, go and give me a blueprint on how to solve this problem in 90 days. Let's just watch and see.
Our Nigerian concern now is the flood. Flood is all over. People have lost their
everybody
homes.
a lot.
There are some videos from, especially in Yonogua, even our former president's home is submerged with flood and water, and they're a little bit concerned about what it will look like this Christmas period, because most families have their hope from their farm. Okay, we're going to harvest and sell and find what to eat. But now, as I speak to you, there's no source of, they don't have opportunity anymore to get that done. I think government have to step in to, I saw some videos yesterday that the government have delivered some trucks of food
here and there. But
doctor, that is still not enough.
It's not enough. And we have this issue of this corruption.
Some people,
for instance, I saw a death in Rivers. And recall that weeks ago, Governor Wike released 1 billion. I saw it in the middle. You know, at times, this government processes of releasing funds, you could see on paper.
It's more on paper and
more of a bureaucracy that, you understand, the end people that are supposed to benefit from this, at the end of the day, they will not be the real beneficiary. That is a serious problem. Well, while we are calling on the government to say, okay, they should step in, we should also call on the government to observe if the real target group get this palliative that they are trying to give to them to cushion the effect of their suffering. Understand? And then again, some of those people, they are being left in the open like that. They are crying out to say, okay, look, unlike some places, you see that an emergency situation like this, like it happened in Pakistan, you could see that people are being moved away from the areas that the flood affected. They are being moved, camped somewhere, give them tent, and ensure that they live to survive. But in our own case here, you see people are being left on their own, which is not in order. Well, at least in a situation of emergency like this, what will make you to feel that you are a Nigerian? What will make you to feel that you are a Nigerian is when a situation whereby you are in a need and government comes to your need. At least we are not like demanding too much from the government. When we're talking about government now, we're not talking only about this, the federal government. We're talking about the governors too. The governors that are in charge of their state too. They should step in. Already we know that the local government are almost practically non-existent. There is nothing like the local government can do. The only thing that the local government can do now is, in this situation, is to identify with their people to say, okay, come, move to social area and like this. Then they can liaise with the state to get the palliative out to distribute around.
No, also somebody said recently that there is a state in the south that federal government have delivered some number of trucks of food through NEMA, but the state government refused to come and sign it. And when I saw that, I don't know. We were waiting, doctor, and people were already dying.
Doctor, that is why you now discover that. I think one professor wrote something that the politics in our own part of the world is more or less like a dirty politics. Probably the particular state could be of a particular state from an opposition. For them to know what is an opposition. So
what's the opposition? Now? Yes, that is
because we are talking about people, lives of Nigerians. They are all Nigerians.
Some persons die.
Okay, you want this thing to become a political issue whereby at the time that the lives of Nigerians are at stake, government is saying, okay, come and sign and get this thing. You say, no, you will not come. So that those people will not turn their back on the federal government. You understand? At the end of the day, I don't know the kind of people who will have the helms of affair, but this is not unfair. This is not good. This is not what we want. We are all Nigerians. As we are all Nigerians, let's play politics, put politics aside, and talk about the emergency and the lives of your people first.
All right, so let's discuss this on Daily Trust. In the Daily Trust newspaper, we have in the paper we have YCBN will redesign currency notes.
Well,
they said it says over 85% of currency in circulation outside bank. That means we have just 15%.
And the situation whereby when you have that kind of situation, it's terrible for the economy.
Is it because they introduced cashless policy?
No.
That people have to store money at home, so that because when you have a limit, for you to withdraw money, you can't withdraw no less than 500,000 per day.
Even the cashless,
cashless 150,000 as individual a day. Then 500 company as a limited liability company. Then to pay in money to account as individual, you can't pay in less than 500,000. So maybe that is why people now decided to those that have lost some of money.
It's
how many years will it take? How many days will it take you to lodge the money in the bank?
If you look at it within the economic perspective, you could see that that is why you now discover that some of us are now saying that, look, since the inception of this administration, there is no good economic team. If there's a good economic team, every nation, every climb, in every climb, you now discover that a good economist should be able to know the liquidity ratio of money in the circulation. They will know it. You understand? And it's more or less like a demand and supply. Before you release certain amount of money into the circulation, you now think about what you produce and how would you meet up. Because when you have too much money in the circulation, there will be bound to be inflation, and that is why we are dealing with the inflation up to the 2-digit inflation that government could not be able to handle for the past 7 years. You understand? That is the scenario that we find ourselves in. But I believe that what the CBN is about doing is part of the monetary policy of the CBN, purview of the CBN. Whether they will do it and succeed, I don't know. But the problem is that they shouldn't come to say, okay, we want to do this, and it becomes a conduit pipe for them, because we're talking about minting of new currency this time around. Contract will be awarded, and the cost of producing this new mint, you now do the cost benefit analysis. If the benefit supersede the cost, it's good. But a situation whereby the benefit is less, but the cost of producing it, redesigning and producing it become higher, that is, to me, is more or less like corruption. And again, Take for instance, like we read in 1984 during Buhari administration, whereby this money was changed. Then you could see that a lot of people suffered, a lot of people lose their money. I know quite okay that those ones that their money are within the bank, it's much more easier for them because it's bank through the bank transaction. The bank will now change.
But
their
my
money
concern is the amount of money that is always being used to print this currency.
It's high. That is why
That is
why I mentioned that
when you look at the statistics,
yes.
We see that according to statistics, they say that in 2016, I think they used about 33.37 billion to print. Then also 17, they have they use about 49.42 billion also to print. Then when you go down the line, you say that in 2020 they used the 58.62 billion
double
to print.
You understand? It has not.
So who knows how much in 2022 with the high rate of
cost of
production now, how much would they use to print?
So you see, that is why you now discover that, doctor, whether we like it or not, we have issues at hand. The issue now is that Nigerians are beginning to turn their back on the government, in the sense that we tend to not to believe the government anymore. We then tend not to believe the authority anymore, because since that yesterday that the CBN now made this announcement, say, look, we are going to do this. Certain Nigerians are coming out to say, look, it's another conduit pipe to whereby they would now award contracts for this thing and make their money. You understand? So that is another aspect too, because a situation whereby in 2019, this is what you spent, and then in 2 years after then, or a year after that, you are spending 2 times of what you spent before. No matter what, you understand this thing. I believe that CBN, they need to come out openly again and now discuss with Nigerians to say, okay, this is how much we are going to invest in this project of redesigning and reprinting this money. They should be able to come out with more information regarding that.
So there's another story on Vanguard newspaper. Let's look at Vanguard newspaper, where we have some INEC staff try to unveil some try to enroll fake voters. Well,
I think it was some weeks ago or 2 weeks ago, we saw in Kanu whereby a particular individual was arrested with over 40-something PVCs. You understand? If that kind of arrest could be made, it means there is a foul play somewhere. And if there is a foul play somewhere, I believe that people seems not to understand the new technology in deployed in the coming election, which has been captured according to the amended Electoral Act. People have not really seems to understand that the former system of said, okay, if what is the name of this machine, the machine that they are using, if it could not capture your distance, there is a room for manual capturing. But in this case now, there is no room for manual capture. If your thumbprint cannot work, there is a facial recognition behind it that old system of manual accreditation is no longer there again. So people are not aware. So a situation whereby even if you should have more PVCs with you, it means those PVC, once it's not coming from the real owner of that PVC, you are not going to be used. And then you have a situation now that INEC itself is crying out to say, look, they have made an arrest and recommended their staff for prosecution. We should commend INEC for coming out to do that. But it shows that despite all the technology being deployed, and despite all the sensitization, despite all, we still have some corrupt individual within INEC that are doing the bidding of politicians. INEC should step up their game to look within them to weed out those corrupt officials that are trying to being used by politicians. They should weed them out. This is a wake-up call on them. They should do their own so that we should have a free and fair election in 2023. All the world, all Nigerians are their eyes are on INEC for this coming election. INEC, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, he has a daunting task on his own shoulder to say, look, I must deliver a credible election in 2023. If his own staff are going to derail his effort, he should sack them. You understand? Despite the fact that they are public officials, in fact, if they cannot operate within the law, within the INEC law, they should sack them and then hand them over to the law enforcement agencies. I believe that when they use those ones as scapegoat, other ones will learn their lesson ahead of 2023 election.
All right, so still on Vanguard newspaper, we have court to federal government. Return Kano to Kenya, pay 500 million damage.
I saw that judgment yesterday was delivered at the Federal High Court in Umuahia, whereby, well, it's to me, it's more or less like a blunder because.
Why did they have to move it to Umuahia?
No, it's you know, someone instituted a court case there, and this victory now come out. It's a federal court too. It's not like a state court, so it's a federal court. So judgment is delivered by any federal court. It's stand, even if it's a state court, it still stand because it's the same judiciary. So, well, just like is it on Monday also? On Monday, federal government appealed the judgment of the release of Kanu, and they cited that it's a national security risk. You understand? You know, days to come, we are going to see a lot of legal processes here and there. But if, like we have said on this platform before, this thing cannot end through the court alone. If government decide to see this, we see that there is a political solution towards it too. Government should take the line of dialoguing this out instead of allowing these court processes to drag. Because the more, let's look at it this way. Let's not forget that every Monday still there is a sit at home in Southeast, and the election is coming. So, and
INEC have already
announced to affect the Southeast, and then you understand. So they should release this guy so that we have normalcy in Southeast. You understand? They should release. Government has there's no two ways about it. They should release him so that he will go back. I believe that Nnamdi Kanu has a lot to contribute. Although some people will now say that, look, if he's out, then Biafra issue again will now resurface and it will affect the. No, I don't see it that way. Better they release him so that he go back, and the leaders from the Southeast, the governors, they should be able to reach out to him because he's the only voice that can restore peace and order in Southeast. You understand? If they can release him, go back to his base in Umuahia or wherever he decide to settle down, he can talk to the so-called IPOB that government has prescribed. There is a way that he can talk to them and say, look, gentlemen, I'm out. Sit at home. There's no need for that. We are going to achieve our Biafra, but let's give the politicians a chance to say, okay, let's watch out what happened in 2023 and beyond.
Okay, next to look at is Nation newspaper. So let's connect to newspaper. So we were having a PDP crisis or Tom attack article as Miyoko rejects job. Then another interesting story there is marketers raised petrol price to 170 naira from 169.
Well,
let's look at the fuel.
Now we could see now that
scarcity have hit Lagos. Also hit Kanu. Then I think I also hit Rivers as well.
Rivers, yeah.
Then Abuja has been like
it has become like a way of life now that people could go to fuel station, queue up hours before they could. So and those ones that could not queue up, they go to the black market to buy it at outrageous price.
So what's really going on? Because we have the same issue some months ago, and which was resolved by the federal government. And I also have recently it was
flood.
That started. Federal government find their way. I think they have about 100 and something trucks to serve within Abuja. 2 days later, that was normal. The fuel was normal. 2 days later, the
you see
queue.
Doctor, do you observe certain things? You know, earlier this year, the first impression given by the federal government is that, look, adulterated fuel were imported, and from that adulterated incident, then scarcity now persists, and now you have flood. From flood now, scarcity now is spread into some other part of the nation too. So it means, I believe that NNPC has not been able to get the situation right. If they are going to hike it, they should come out openly and say, okay, we want to officially that 165 naira per liter is no longer feasible. This is the amount of money that we are going to set it. They should come out openly and tell Nigerians that this is what we will do, and this is the only thing that can guarantee adequate fuel everywhere. If they should tell us like that, better. Instead of this hide and seek game of flood, this one, that one, and now you now see that Is there flood in Lagos? Why is the Lagos recording scarcity? Why is Ibadan recording scarcity too? You understand?
But that reminds me.
Yeah.
Are you sure there's not flood in Lagos? Because in 2012-11,
Yeah.
Lagos was flooded.
Yeah.
It's among the states that were, but I've not had any record from Lagos.
Well, you see,
What really happened and what?
You know what is happening is that these independent marketers, they are so powerful. You understand? There is some kind of relationship between them. Remember that NNPC is the sole importer, and the whatever arrangement that is between the NNPC and the independent marketers, we don't know. But NNPC is assumed to be the sole importer of this fuel, and you could see now that NNPC now will say, okay, this is official on price, and at times they will try to give explanation to say the cost of landing is higher than. The cost of selling is much more higher than the cost of landing, and it means that since they started speaking all these jargons, Nigerians should expect that look, there will be a hike in pump price. Officially, they don't want to do it, and that is why we are recording all this. Every time there is a small excuse here, you will see the increase. But this time around, it started from Abuja. From Abuja now, it now spread to other places. Why? That is the situation now. So that is why we are saying, look, government should be to own up to say, okay, look, this cost of PMS, official PMS to Nigerians is not enough. We can't. It's not sustainable. Since it's not sustainable, this is the amount of money that will be sustainable. Everybody will adjust. I don't quite okay that we know quite okay that it will result to some inflation here and there, but eventually, just like NNPC has been saying that, look, by the time Dangote refinery comes on board and we refine it here, we have adequate supply here. You know, recall that what is happening is that if we have adequate supply, you understand? For instance, in Abuja, whereby they have over how many trucks, 160 something trucks, just last week, there is a kind of distribution here, and vehicle could walk into fuel station and spend less time and refuel and go their way. But now, since there's no supply, since there's not enough supply, that is why we are recording this. Government all along they have been saying that, look, once Dangote refinery come on board and we are started refining here, there will be price adjustment to reflect that. But you could see that virtually almost all the conditions that Dangote is trying to set to say that ahead of the production in its own refinery, government has trying to comply with it. What we don't know now is that, look, will Dangote now refine and keep to the regulated price? That is what we don't know. If they try to remove that benchmark to say, okay, we are removing that official rate, they should remove it so that when Dangote come on board to say, okay, I produce like this and I will sell like this, then Nigerians will understand. If it will cost this, although now we are not seeing that the presidential candidate Tinubu has said that, look, he's not going to keep the subsidy, meaning that if he's not keeping the subsidy government cannot fund that subsidy, because we are spending about how many in this 2022 alone, about 6 trillion was set aside for subsidy. This is the amount of money that's supposed to go into some other.
Supposed to inject other.
You understand? Capital project that at least Nigerians will be seeing.
If you ask me, Alhaji, let me also ask you this question.
Yeah.
Don't you think that we would have just suffered this once and for all? Because most times I feel that the politicians try to pity.
Yeah.
And just for them to remain in power.
In power, yeah.
Try to, because when this administration step in, the way they decide their decision on subsidy. You will know that in the next 3-4 months, we are done with it, and people were moving. See, the problem is that Nigerians to get used to the system, because a lot of things have adjusted.
Okay.
And good.
Take for instance, like recently, Rishi Sunak in UK, during his inaugural speech, he said something that, look, the Brits, they should be ready to take. That they are going to feel a lot of impact, and it's a sacrifice, pain that sacrifices that people must make. You understand? But in our own climb here, you now discover that, for instance, do you know why the government of the day is finding it difficult to take a definite decision on this subsidy? It's because of their position in 2012. President Muhammadu Buhari, then as a general Buhari, he was among the people that led protests against Goodluck Jonathan for the removal of fuel subsidy. You understand? So what are we saying here? you know, some other countries, they have a red line. That red line, whether you are part of the government or you are outsider, that red line, it join everybody.
Yes.
It join everybody, and you have that unionism, you have that belief in a particular. But we don't have it here. You now discover that once somebody is in PDP, once somebody is in APC, they will do it anyhow they like, until even if they know the truth, that look, this is the truth, at the end of the day, they will benefit it. They will not support it, and that is why we remain where we are to today. If in 2016 President Muhammadu Buhari decided to remove the subsidy, no matter the suffering, by now Nigerians must have adjusted, and I believe that issue of
and we'll have more money.
More money because no more subsidy. That
Exactly.
money that's supposed to go into subsidy will be used for some other capital project.
I called on my friend that live some Nigerians that live outside the country. The amount of money they use to buy fuel.
Yeah.
It's like times 10 of what we are buying here.
Hey, you know, you understand?
Like
you know,
it's almost free.
You know, like them, they have an efficient transportation system whereby even if you own a car, it's not a must for you to drive your car, because there are public transport, there are railway, there are buses. You understand? So you understand? Now, what Nigerians refuse to accept is this. Take for instance, like in 2022 alone, if about let me say like the 7 trillion is budgeted for subsidy, if that 7 billion is channeled to something like railway, and we have an efficient railway from Maduguri to Abuja, or from Lagos to Abuja to Kanu, you now discover that people would have a public transport system, an efficient public transport system, whereby you don't need to go to even use your own car. Or you have the metro railway in Abuja here. If it is running, instead of you to say, okay, you want to use your car, you could see that you can even stay a week without using your car, and you don't need to, there will be no need for you to fuel your car. So provided there is an efficient transport system, you understand? So that is our situation here. I believe that the other aspect that we must try to talk about is now we must have that barrier to say, okay, if this Buhari now decide to say, okay, I'm coming out with this policy, it's incumbent on every Nigerian to say, okay, we should support that administration to say, because if it succeed, everyone, it will affect everyone, but not in this case of this subsidy. You understand? Despite the fact that we know the truth that, look, this subsidy is no longer sustainable. As long as we decide to keep this subsidy, government will be wasting money, and we don't even know whether that money is being spent truly on subsidy, because in so many instances you could see that NNPC will tell you that our daily consumption in Nigeria today is like this, and in another fora again they will come up with a different figure. It means that money is being channeled into subsidy, and we don't even know whether they are actually spending that money in the subsidy. It means, just like the oil theft, some people are benefiting from it. So why keeping a decay system, whereby it's a conduit that people are funding our money? So that is the situation. We must accept it that, look, this subsidy is no longer sustainable. It's no longer transparent enough that we'll continue with it. We should do away with it once and for all.
Before we round up this program this morning, and I want you to know, for those of you joining us online, and do not forget to follow us on our social media handle, please, and follow us on our social media handle. They are displayed on the screen as you're watching me right now. Aspheric News on Twitter, Aspheric News on Facebook, as official Aspheric News on Facebook. Sorry, I mean to say. Then Aspheric News on Instagram. Do not forget to follow us or read more about our breaking news on www.asfericnews.com. And if you want to get in touch with us, want to call us, want to give us information, do not forget to call on us +234 8099998117, and I repeat +234 8099998117. My name remains Israel. Alhaji, before we leave, what do you have to say? What do you have to say, especially the recent court case in Rivers State against the APC or Progressive Congress in Rivers State? Well, and also let's look at the rearranging of the Accountant General of former Accountant General for the Federation, and also looking at the court case in Kogi State, which is actually court case in Kogi State. Let's just do a summary of all this.
Let's start from that of Rivers. It's really unfortunate that we are now back to the situation in the 2019 situation in Rivers, but one part which is very interesting in this particular case now, you now discover that it's not like PDP, which is the ruling party in the state, is part of this case. No. The main case was instituted by, I think, Magnus Abe camp. At the end of the day, Magnus Abe, both all of them that instituted this case, they have already moved to SDP. So they are not an APC member. So it's going to be an interesting case when it goes to the appeal. So I believe that it will cause some panic in Rivers, but I believe that APC members, they should be steadfast in this and watch out what will happen. APC will overcome and emerge victorious at the end of the day from the court, because I don't see serious case in this. Then the other one is which other one again you said there?
The Accountant General.
Accountant General. Well, I believe that if you ask me, I will say that look, President Muhammadu Buhari, APC, they should be interested in this particular case, because the position of Accountant General of the Federation is not a small position. Although, be it by merit or whatever thing, he now become the Accountant General of the Federation, the government of the day share the blame, because they will say, okay, under this administration, you are talking about corruption, and then you have an Accountant General of the Federation that siphoned this amount of money, over 100 billion naira. You understand? That is the one that has so far been traced to him. You understand? So President Muhammadu Buhari, they should use this case as a scapegoat to present that since he has been known as a man of integrity, anti-corruption fighter, they should sit up and make sure that this particular case is decided within the lifetime of the administration, the remaining lifetime of the administration, and so that their prosecution will be, sentence will be passed now. Not when after the administration they said, okay, the case will continue to drag for the next 10 years. You know, there are some governors here that under Obasanjo administration, they are being accused of corruption, certain amount of money. But up till now, the court cases have been dragging. You understand? So we want to see a situation whereby this particular case will be decided within this lifetime of this administration and end, so that they should use it as an example of those that steal money and they are being tracked down. Understand? So I don't know which other one again. Kogi. Well, I am not too conversant with that particular case in Kogi.
And Kogi State is between Dangote and Kogi State government.
Okay.
The courts asked them to. Yeah,
you see, the fact is that I am from Kogi too. Just for instance, I'll keep on saying that look, the manner that the approach that the state government took is a very wrong one. Come on, let's tell ourselves the truth. This is a 21st century. Dangote Industry is a company, a limited liability company, whereby it can be sued and it can sue whoever it deemed that infringe on their right. So if the state government decided to take that court process earlier, it would have saved a lot of situations. We only hear on the news that say, look, Dangote has been dragged to the court over Obajana cement. You understand? This is a business transaction. The state government, instead of deploying thugs and hoodlums to go and close down Dangote, it's like taking the law into their own hand, and that is what they did. And this is my state, and I can tell you for a fact that look, the state is like begging for investment. For instance, after that action that Kogi State government took, BOA Cement step out from it. In fact, the manner that the BOA even step from away from Kogi, it's a kind of an arrogant way. He said, look, take your land. We don't need it. You understand? So I believe that governors, they should avoid excesses. Using power arbitrarily, they should avoid it. Deploying thugs and hooligans, hoodlums or vigilantes to go and close down Dangote Industry, to me, is wrong. The right way is approaching the court, and the court, now that they have approached, government has been able to, the court has been able to give until the final verdict will come. At least government, the court has already instituted a process. Kogi State governor, although the federal government tried to intervene, but at the end of the day, the federal government said, look, advise the governor of Kogi to say, look, approach the court, which is the right step that the governor is supposed to have taken in the first place. It's not a transaction that has been done today. It is a transaction that was done in 2002. You understand? So, to me, if the government of the Kogi State decides to say, look, there's a foul play somewhere, but at the end of the day, the government is trying to attract investors. instead of clamping down on an investor that is already existing by setting a wrong example that will affect investment drive, why doing that? Instead of that, the court. The court is the final arbiter of to decide on any case that arises between even you and I and whoever.
All right. So just a little bit summary. Federal government said 30 years to take 30 years to with constant investment to control the flood.
Yeah.
So what do you have to say? That are we going to wait till the next 30 years to? Because
you see, doctor, there are certain things that we are not even supposed to say it out, because to me, believe you me, if you're saying it out to someone that is living in Bayelsa or living in Lokoja or living in Onitsha, part of Onitsha, you are telling him it means that they are suffering today. It's like you're not giving them hope that it can still occur at any time again. You understand? So, but I believe that probably government is like trying to say, look, the permanent